Igor Dyatlov's tent was slashed open with a knife in the dead of night.
A slash in the fabric of a tent, made by a knife in the dead of night, the sound of ripping fabric echoing through the howling wind, as 9 experienced hikers fled into the darkness, leaving behind the safety of their campsite, and the relative warmth of their sleeping bags, to face the unforgiving elements of the Ural Mountains. The cut was neat, deliberate, and spoke of a desperate urgency, as if the group had been driven by a fear so primal, it overrode all rational thought, and propelled them into the frozen wilderness, inadequately dressed, and ill-prepared for the extreme cold that awaited them. The Ural Mountains, rugged and unforgiving range, stretched across the Russian landscape like a serrated blade, their peaks shrouded in mist, and their slopes blanketed with a thick layer of snow, that crunched beneath the feet of the hikers, as they made their way through the wilderness. It was February 1959. And the Soviet Union was in the midst of a cold winter, with temperatures plummeting to as low as -40°C, and the winds howling like a chorus of lost souls, through the mountains. The city of Yekaterinburg, with its industrial landscape, and its people, hardened by the harsh realities of Soviet life, was the starting point of the trek, and the Ural Polytechnical Institute, a hub of intellectual and athletic activity, had spawned a group of experienced trekkers, who had embarked on a hike of the highest difficulty level, led by the seasoned Igor Dyatlov. The group had been warned about the dangers of the trek, but they were confident in their abilities, and eager to test their limits against the unforgiving power of nature. The city was a place of stark contrasts, where the grandeur of Soviet architecture stood alongside the humble, wooden houses of the working class, and the sound of factory whistles, mingled with the smell of wood smoke, and freshly baked bread. The people of Yekaterinburg were a hardy bunch, accustomed to the harsh winters, and the long, dark nights, that seemed to stretch on forever, but they were also a community that valued knowledge and intellectual pursuits, and the Ural Polytechnical Institute was a beacon of learning that attracted students from all over the Soviet Union. The institute's buildings were a testament to the Soviet era's grand architectural style, with sweeping curves and towering spires that seemed to touch the sky, and its halls were filled with the sound of laughter and debate, as students and professors engaged in lively discussions about the latest scientific discoveries and technological advancements. But here is where the story begins to unfold, like a puzzle, with pieces that refuse to fit together, and a narrative that is as elusive as the truth itself. The group had established a camp on the eastern slopes of Kolat-Syakal Mountain, a name that translates to Dead Mountain in the local language, a moniker that would prove to be ominously prophetic. The campsite was situated in a valley, surrounded by towering peaks, and the hikers had set up their tent with a sense of excitement and anticipation as they prepared to tackle the challenges of the mountain. The snow-covered peaks rose up like giants, their slopes a vast expanse of white that seemed to stretch on forever, and the valley below was a haven of tranquility, with a frozen stream that ran through its center like a ribbon of ice. But something went terribly wrong during the night, something that drove the group to cut their way out of their tent and flee into the darkness, without their gear, without their warm clothing, and without any apparent reason. What could have prompted such a desperate act, and what were the hikers running from, or running to? The record is silent on what happened next, but the consequences of their actions would be devastating. As the night wore on, the hikers found themselves battling against the extreme cold and the heavy snowfall, their bodies numb and their minds clouded by the lack of oxygen and the creeping hypothermia. They stumbled through the darkness, their feet heavy and their legs aching, as they tried to find their way back to the safety of their campsite, but it was too late, the damage was done, and the group was doomed to face the fury of the mountain. But here is where the story bends, like a river that flows into a mysterious lake and disappears from view. Can we ever truly know what drove the hikers to flee their tent and abandon their safety, or is it a secret that will forever remain locked in the frozen wilderness of the Ural Mountains? The hikers' bodies were found, days later, scattered across the mountain slope, some with severe internal injuries, others with no visible trauma, but all with a look of terror frozen on their faces. What had they seen or experienced during their final hours, and what was the cause of their deaths, remains a mystery to this day. The investigation that followed was unable to determine the cause of the hikers' deaths and the circumstances surrounding their final hours. The authorities were baffled by the lack of evidence and the strange injuries that some of the hikers had sustained. The case was closed without any conclusion, and the mystery of the Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the most enduring, unsolved enigmas of our time. And yet, we are drawn to it, like moths to a flame, helpless to resist the allure of the unknown and the terror that it inspires. The Ural Mountains still stand, a testament to the power of nature and the fragility of human life, and the memory of the Dyatlov group will forever be etched in the annals of history as a cautionary tale about the dangers of the wilderness and the unpredictability of human behavior. The trail goes cold, like a ghost that vanishes into thin air, leaving behind only questions and a sense of wonder at the strange and inexplicable events that unfolded on that fateful night in the Ural Mountains. Follow Cold Trail for more cases that will leave you wondering at the strange and mysterious events that shape our world.